What is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, we do upload Pokemon Go content related to PvP, so please consider subscribing to the channel if that is of interest to you. And if you're a returning subscriber like Front Fight, thank you for the support. In today's video, we are going to be taking a look at some of the battles on my way to hitting rank 9, and I did hit rank 9 at an elo of 2770, which was pretty high, a lot higher than I had expected. Definitely to have gotten that high required a lot of luck. When I had finished Great League, I was sitting at around a 57% win rate, and then once Ultra League started, I actually went on a crazy win streak with this double ice team, brought my win percentage up to about 60%. Obviously, that isn't directly a result of the team being that dominant. I definitely got very fortunate with a lot of leads and team comps to win that many games and go on that kind of a streak. So with that said, I am leading Articuno on this team. Basically, the reasoning behind Articuno is that really in the open Ultra League meta, what is there that is considered a bad lead for Articuno in the lead spot? Well, there's Melmetal, which is horrible, and then after Melmetal, there isn't really anything that's common that you see too often in the lead. Like Registeel, very bad, but how often do you see Registeel in the lead? Not very often. Lapras, very bad, a bit more common, but still, Lapras is a very big investment. You don't see it too often. And after that, there's a pretty big fall off in terms of what hard counters Articuno. Obviously, like Armored Mewtwo is pretty hard, but again, not that common. Something like Feraligatr and Polion, those are pretty hard to beat, but again, you don't see them too often. That was kind of my thought process behind using Articuno in the lead spot. Now, if you run into Melmetal after Melmetal, obviously it's gonna get hard and you're gonna lose more often than you win. Not impossible to beat Melmetal lead, but very, very difficult. So I just wanted to thank everyone for the amount of views I got on the last video. You guys really seemed to like that video. Got about 5,000 views in one day, so thank you so much to everybody who watched that. So in this video, we're gonna be taking a look at some battles that I selected to showcase here, and I did speed them up quite a bit because Ultra League battles do take quite a long time to finish. So we're gonna take a look at some of those battles. You're gonna see that I did win the lead a lot of times, and I did run into some pretty favorable team comps, but I tried to pick out some interesting matches here. So let's get into the first battle right now. Okay, so get into the first battle here against Zuripai, and we're leading into a Giratina, obviously one of the most favorable matches you want to see with Articuno. And I did speed these up quite a bit, these matches, so let me know what you guys think of the speed. I know it's pretty fast, so if you want it slower in the future, let me know if it's good, because there's a lot of battles in this video, so just let me know how it goes. Opponent switches out into Cresselia here, so I'm going to Icy Wind and then switch out immediately into our own Giratina here. And I'm just going to go straight for the Shadow Sneaks here. Now, because Icy Wind did debuff this Cresselia, the Moonblasts aren't going to hurt as much, obviously. So you're going to see here, it does, I think, about a quarter of our health. Maybe closer to 30% there. So we could definitely tank about 2. And our attack did fall, as you saw there. And I was getting attack fall a lot. It felt like they buffed it again to like 30% because it was happening constantly. But it's okay, still in a good position here. Moonblast's gonna come through. You could see we take that. Usually you'll feint to 2, but here we could definitely take a 3rd. So I'm gonna throw the Dragon Claw here because I think in this range it is in Dragon Claw range. Opponent chooses to shield, so at this point I'm gonna match this shield just to ensure that I maintain switch. And the opponent actually chooses to switch out here into Giratina. So I'm just gonna throw the Dragon Claw here because I was a little panicked. And I'm going to switch out now. I wanted to buy myself some time to make sure I made the right switch here before making a mistake. So I just threw a Dragon Claw. Opponent throws a Shadow Sneak here. Again, you want to throw Dragon Claw in this situation with the Giratina. They do the same damage, but Dragon Claw is more energy efficient. So another Shadow Sneak. And in this position here, I'm actually considering farming down all the way because my Giratina is very low. And if he has a Steel type in the back, I need to get some damage on that. So my play here is basically to farm down. Unfortunately, this Giratina does get one more move here. Because he was going for Shadow Sneak, I was able to do this. So I didn't have to burn that last shield. Now, the Cresselia comes in. I have to throw here because I don't want to get farmed down with Cycle Cut. And now it is a Melmetal on the back. So this is a really tough position for me to be in because all I have left really is Articuno. So I switch out now, and I have a feeling that this game could actually go to timeout because of all the charges that have been thrown. So I shield this first Rock Slide just to ensure that I got off this Icy Wind. And now that I got off this Icy Wind, the next Rock Slide should not KO. So I should be able to get one more Icy Wind here onto the Melmetal. So he's going to throw the Rock Slide here. And at this point, I'm really hoping the clock comes up because I'm starting to think that might be my win condition here. So I'm going to throw the Icy Wind. This is a very huge Icy Wind to get off because it's going to bring the Melmetal into the red. And you could see here, we're going to go down and the switch timer is coming up. So at this point, I know I have 2 Pokemon and there's 13 seconds left. The switch takes about 10 seconds. So I'm going to bring in the Lapras because my Giratina has more health. And once this Lapras goes down, he's going to have to throw energy. Timer is going to be up, and my Giratina is going to come in and have more health than the Melmetal, just barely, and we're going to win that game. Now, had the timer not went up, I could have probably Shadow Claw down in that situation anyways, but timeout strategy, definitely a strategy with this team, and we take that win. So Zangoose here in match number 2, going up against a Swampert. So again, another very good lead for Articuno. And I think the most important thing to note in this matchup, if you are leading Articuno, is that you actually don't have to use any shields if they're not going to shield themselves. You could definitely take this first Hydro Cannon, it's going to hurt, but you still win this match in the 0 shields. So just throw the Ice in right away here. It's going to debuff, obviously. And now these Hydro Cannons, he's going to have to use shields if he wants to win this, but he's still going to lose if he uses shields, assuming you match them. So you're in a very dominant position when you see this lead. Opponent switches out into Snorlax here. Now, in this situation, you could switch out immediately into Lapras, but I'm going to choose to actually throw the Icy Wind here, just because Giratina has a pretty good matchup against Swampert anyways. So I throw this Icy Wind, and I'm going to look to switch out now into my own Lapras. So this isn't optimal because now his switch timer is ahead of ours by maybe 30 seconds or so. So he could take advantage of that if he has the right Pokemon in the back. So here, I'm going to bank on this being a Body Slam, so I'm going to let it go through. Might have Superpower, but I'm okay taking the baits here. Superpower won't KO. And Body Slam comes through. I am expecting to switch into Swampert, and he has a lot of energy before he switched out, so I thought maybe this could be an Earthquake. Chose to shield. That happens to be a Hydro Cannon. A little bit unfortunate. I am going to throw the Surf here, and this would definitely knock out the Swampert, but he does choose to shield. When he shields here, I'm assuming he's going to throw the Earthquake, so I switch out into Articuno to catch what might be one of the dirtiest swaps you could get. It is an Earthquake, so that he might have undertapped there, but that was extremely dirty. I'm just going to throw the Ice Wind here just to get rid of the Swampert. But yeah, the opponent probably did not like that Earthquake going into the Articuno. And Togekiss comes in here. Because I have a shield still and he has 0, I could actually just go for the Ice Beam here. He should be switch locked still, so don't have to worry about him switching. And Ice Beam is going to knock out the Togekiss. Comes back into Snorlax. And I don't think the opponent actually saw my Giratina in that match, because if he did, he probably would have stayed in for a bit, but it was pretty much over anyways. Next matchup here is against Scizor with Bullet Punch, and this is an absolute nightmare for Articuno. Now, I knew this was a bad matchup, but I didn't necessarily know how bad it was. So you could switch into Lapras here if you want technically, but that's still a pretty good matchup for the Scizor. So I'm gonna just stay in with Articuno here, try to debuff it, and then look to bring in Giratina. But I do make a mistake, I feel, in this matchup here, and that's right here. There's no need to shield this because I'm going to survive this regardless and get off this Ice Wind. At the time I was thinking I want to get off this Ice Wind and I didn't think I would survive, but you definitely survive there for sure. And even by shielding there, I'm not going to win this match, so it's pretty pointless to use a shield in a match you're going to lose anyway. So that's a huge mistake there, and definitely something you don't want to do. So now I'm going to bring in Giratina. He has been debuffed quite a bit, but you could definitely see I could be in a position now with 2 shields instead of being down a shield, which would make this a lot more enjoyable. So opponent's going to bring in Alolan Muck here. I did farm up some energy on that Scizor, so I'm going to throw the Dragon Claw here. Gonna throw another Dragon Claw, and I would expect to switch out now into the Lapras, hopefully to catch the Dark Pulse. But the opponent doesn't throw, probably expecting the switch, and they have a lot of energy, so I was a little bit worried this might be a Gunk Shot, but I was hoping they were in Sludge Wave. Dark Pulse, it is a Gunk Shot, that hurts a lot. So everything is going wrong so far in this matchup. I'm going to throw the Surf here, and the opponent is going to switch out into Swampert. So I'm going to go for the Ice Beam here because it's going to do more damage. I believe they're about the same DPE, but Ice Beam does do more damage. So we are going to... I think I'm going to have to shield this because it could be an Earthquake. If it's a Hydro Cannon, that kind of hurts. Oh no, we let it go through, so I did. So I was calling the bait there apparently. But the unfortunate part is that he gets to the move anyways. So it kind of would have been better if he went for Earthquake, but I would have had to shield in that situation. So kind of tricky. Actually, I don't even think I had a shield left. Or no, I just used it on the second Hydro Cannon. Okay, getting a little confused here. Throwing the Dragon Claw here. Opponent's playing this actually very, very well. So if this is Earthquake, we're going to get pretty much mauled here. And opponent switches out into Muck. Great switch there. Throw the Dark Pulse. And you could see there. Great use of the switch time. We're going to bring in Lapras here. And we're going to throw the Surf. You can see this is actually still so close. So this comes down to farm down between Lapras first. Mud Shot there. And you can see, despite how hard of a lead that was and how poorly I played it, that literally came down to a farm down at the end. So just goes to show the strength of this team even in bad leads. Escavalier here. This is a pretty good matchup for Articuno. A little bit of lag there, but it looks like we still got the energy through, just a visual glitch. So I'm going to throw the Icy Wind here, and I'm pretty much always going to shield the first move here from the Escavalier. Now I have been running into this recent trend of Acid Spray Escavaliers, which has been extremely annoying, and those actually beat Articuno. So if you see an Acid Spray Articuno, be aware of that, because that is a very tricky matchup. So opponent here going to throw another Mega Horn. At this point, you should be able to actually farm down without needing to throw a charge move if they go Mega Horn twice. If they go Drill Run Bait then Mega Horn, you'll probably have to throw the Ice Wind. But if it is Mega Horn, assuming there is no lag, you should be able to farm down. If you do not get to the farm down, or they could get to a Drill Run, but it won't KO there. But they won't get to the Mega Horn, which is what they need to KO in that situation. So Swampert comes in. I'm just throwing the Icy Winds here that I banked basically from farming down the Escavalier. Hydro Can's going to come through now and knock us out. And at this point I bring in the Giratina expecting the switch. Alolan Muck comes in. I'm actually going to throw a Dragon Claw here first before switching out. And I'm going to bring in the Lapras. So we are down a shield. Still, it's not a great position, but that Swampert is quite low. And Giratina has a pretty decent matchup against it. So we get the first shield here from the Muck. And I'm calling the baits here, hoping they're Dark Pulses. They are Dark Pulse. So this is going to be another Dark Pulse most likely, because there's also no way you have that much energy for a Sludge Wave or a Gunk. So I'm going to throw the Surf. And this is going to apply a lot of pressure to the Muck. And they choose to shield again. So at this point, I'm actually going to shield this, and I'm expecting them to switch onto the Swampert to throw energy. So you're going to see I'm going to do an instant switch here before I even saw his switch. So I switched into Giratina there, anticipating, because I knew he was going to switch, and as you can see, he did. So I think that was very important for us to win this game, because that Swampert, if it had energy, probably wanted to throw there at the Lapras and knock us out. But because I kept that Lapras alive, I should have that Surf more or less ready for this Muck in the back. Don't even think Dark Pulse will KO here, so I should be good with Giratina actually. And we just get this Dragon Claw, yeah, so that's going to win the game. So maybe that simultaneous swap wasn't necessarily important or required to win, but definitely a play that I felt comes in handy at times. And here we have an Articuno Mirror match against Ray Bebe, I believe. So Articuno Mirror, it's totally dependent on IVs. It actually looks like I won the attack IV this time, which is super rare, unless they just overfarmed a little bit. That looked like CMP actually, so I did throw the Icy Wind there. But one time I don't go for Ancient Power, they didn't shield, and I actually did not lose CMP, so that Ancient Power would have hurt a lot. And it does look like actually I win CMP here, so this is probably a very good Articuno, I'd imagine, that the opponent has there. So they're going to throw now. They did shield the Ancient Power. I'm going to let the Icy Wind go through. And let's see if I beat him to this next one. I do, so I'm going to go for Ancient Power again. I do not think this will KO in this range though. No, it does not, so they should be able to get to a move. And in this situation, I'm actually going to choose to burn the shield here, just to match shields, knowing that I should be able to farm down here and have an Icy Wind ready for whatever comes in next. So I didn't give up shield advantage, I maintained switch advantage, and I get to throw this Icy Wind at the Escavalier here. So Escavalier is going to take that Icy Wind, farm me down, totally fine. Bring in Giratina here, pretty much hard walls, Escavalier for the most part. Bring in their own Giratina, double Ice Trap right there. Bring in the Lapras, and you're going to have this Giratina locked into a very bad matchup that it does not want to be locked into. So, and the opponent pretty much needs that shield for their Giratina if they have any chance, for the Escavalier if they want any chance of beating Giratina. So they're most likely going to let the Ice Beam go through there. And at this point I just farm down pretty much and throw the Surf at the Escavalier. This is a pretty dominant position to be in. Nothing to worry about here. Just throw the Surf. And no matter what they do here, we just come with Giratina now. And we're in a very dominant position. So take these drill runs and just throw the Shadow Sneak. And we will be good to go into this next matchup here. So you can see during this run, I actually did avoid quite a bit of hard counters, so like Melmetals in the lead. Wanko, Wanyo. Actually, interesting note, most of the losses I took were against Premier Cup teams, which seemed to be very difficult because there's a lot of Empoleons, Alolan Sandslash leads, things that I have a very hard time beating with my lead. So Premier Cup teams that go in by accident actually have a pretty good time against this team. So opponent's going to throw Dragon Claw here. I am going to throw the Icy Wind. Giratina switches out into Zangoose. Okay, Zangoose is actually a pretty problematic Pokemon for this team. So at this point, I know that I have Lapras for the Giratina in the back, so I'm not too worried about keeping this Articuno alive. What I want to ensure is that I maintain switch here. So I'm actually staying in with Articuno, and I'm looking to just, even if I go down shields, just get rid of this Zangoose and maintain switch. So he goes for close combat. That's really good because now his defense is lower, so he's less likely to shield here, which he does not. And now he brings in Swampert. I don't think we'll get to this Ice Wind first. We will not. Hydro Cannon just charges so quickly. But now we're in a great position because I can bring in Giratina into the Swampert, Lapras into the Giratina. And because the Lapras-Giratina matchup is so dominant, it actually makes up for that disadvantage in shields. So opponent is going to throw here. At this point, pretty much Earthquake because we have no shields, no point to bait. Earthquake comes through. I'm going to switch out into Lapras here. And Giratina definitely does not like to see that. I could farm down in that range, so opponent actually backs out. I would have a lot of energy for the Swampert after. Flip Diesel 54 here, leading Articuno into Gengar. And this is actually a very tricky match for me because when I see the Gengar here, I'm not entirely sure if this is a Premier Cup team and he went in by accident, or if this is a legitimate Ultra League team because Gengar has played in the Open Ultra League too. So here I call the Shadow Ball correctly, thankfully. Would kind of suck to get baited by the Shadow Punch there. And at this point here, I know Shadow Ball actually won't KO, and I got fortunate to hit this second Icy Wind here first. So I could actually choose to let this Shadow Ball go through. And if he goes for Shadow Punch, there's a pretty high possibility that the next move he throws is also going to be a Shadow Punch. But I knew I was in a very dominant position here, and if I shielded, I could pretty much farm down. So I didn't want to take that chance. So I just took the Shadow Punch. I just shielded the Shadow Punch, and you know, we match shields. And now I know that I'm going to maintain switch, have Icy Winds ready for what comes in. Happens to be a Cresselia. A little bit of lag, but I'm going to get off a second Icy Wind, which is pretty huge. And when I bring in the Giratina, they're either going to throw a debuff Moonblast or they're going to be forced to switch out. So let's see what they're going to have in the back here. Cresselia is going to knock me out here with the Moonblast. Gonna bring in Giratina. And the opponent is going to throw a debuffed Moonblast here, so I'm okay taking this. Won't do too much damage. That time looks like about 25%. Gonna throw the Shadow Sneak. Opponent isn't switching out, which makes me wonder what they have in the back. And it's a Meganium, so that's probably why they weren't switching out. Meganium does not like to see Giratina here. And this is actually a very spicy team for Open Ultra League, running Gengar and Meganium. And of course it is an Open Ultra League team because he does have Cresselia. So Meganium here. What I'm looking to do here is just wait for the Meganium to throw its energy and then switch into the Lapras, because at this point I'm in the range where I could pretty much knock it out with the Surf and I won't get KO'd by a Frenzy Plant. So this Meganium will throw the Frenzy Plant here. It's going to do a lot of damage, but I will be able to get to the Surf here, and this will KO the Meganium. And we are going to take this battle once Cresselia comes back in and gets farmed down by Ice Shard. So GG's there. Cachetti's EBK, this is a player who runs Melmetal in the lead, so very difficult of course. And the way I like to play this, I stay in with the Articuno. Best case scenario, I got off 2 Icy Winds, but most of the time you're only going to get off 1. People play the Melmetal lead differently here. I am going to get off the first Icy Wind you're going to get off for sure, that's a guarantee. And the thing about this is if you actually get to the second Icy Wind, you could put this Melmetal in the yellow, which isn't too bad here. The opponent here, if they let you get to the second Icy Wind, they're committing to the straight farm down. So they're not going to throw again after this. And now they have a lot of energy, but they are debuffed. So I'm going to bring in Giratina. I love to see them throw energy here, because at this point, obviously it's not going to do anything. So opponent switches on to their own Giratina. Going to bring in Lapras here. This is a bit of a tricky spot, because although I will win this match, the Lapras is going to get paired with the Melmetal with energy after. So what becomes most important here is shield preservation. So I'm going to throw the Ice Beam here, hoping he doesn't shield, because he probably wants to keep those shields for the Melmetal, which makes sense. So I'm going to commit to a farm down here. That was very good because we still have a pretty decent amount of health, but I don't think this is enough to survive a Rock Slide. So I didn't have the Surf ready. Melmetal is going to throw the Rock Slide here. I'm going to shield this just to ensure that I get off the Surf and apply shield pressure to this Melmetal. And I think I'm going to switch out into Giratina after this. I do. And they bring out a Togekiss, so just worst thing you want to see. This is like a reversal of roles here, where my team is getting slaughtered in the back, getting trapped. So comes full circle. Togekiss gonna put in work. You can see Giratina still trying its best to hurt this Togekiss, but not good here. Unfortunately, the Togekiss didn't throw, which is a smart play on the opponent's side, so I have to shield here. I didn't want to shield the Ancient Power, obviously, but we would get charmed down if I didn't. And best case scenario, I'd be able to get to 2 surfs here, but we're gonna fall just short. And you could see again, even though that was a very difficult lead and very hard Pokemon in the back, game came pretty close. We were 1 surf away from winning that, and we were only about 2 ice shards from getting that surf. So team's pretty good. Ace leader Scizor here, leading Giratina Origin. And shout out to this guy, because I battled him I think like once a day. And he always plays very well despite how hard my team counters his. So he's going to throw a Shadow Ball here. I actually chose not to shield that. I know I could survive, but was expecting the Omnis Wind Bait there instead. Did get hit by a Shadow Ball, unfortunately. Gonna farm up a little bit here, and opponent's going to switch out into Lapras. So I'm going to throw the Icy Wind here, and then immediately switched out into my own Lapras. And another part of why I lose to Premier Cup teams, actually, now that we're in this very long, boring matchup, is that when they bring in the Lapras, I bring in my own, and then they're never running Ice Beam because it's a Premier Cup team, so they're running Skull Bash, and my Lapras gets destroyed. And then I'm wishing I brought in my Giratina, right? But who brings in Giratina into Lapras? So that's another reason why those Premier Cup teams are very difficult to deal with. And in this situation here, just throwing the surfs, neither of us have Skull Bash at this point. So opponent switches out into Snorlax now, so I'm going to throw this Ice Beam. And I'm going to actually bring in the Articuno here. And I don't think I'll get to the Icy Wind, so I am going to get knocked down unless I choose to shield this, which I do not. So I let it go through, Body Slam comes in. Now I'm going to bring in Giratina here. And if this Snorlax is not running Earthquake, this is actually a pretty decent matchup for Giratina, despite running Shadow Claw. So I'm going to get to another Dragon Claw here. And let's see if the opponent's going to choose to shield this. They do not. So the Snorlax goes down there. And would expect probably Lapras to come in now. No, Giratina Origin. Okay, because he has energy, makes sense. I'm going to let this go through. Call the Omnis Wind Bait, that's pretty huge for us. And now I'm going to go for the Dragon Claw. Part of the reason I called the Omnis Wind Bait there was because I had 2 shields, and he probably expected I had to shield because I had 2. We got very lucky though. And now the Lapras comes in. And I switched out, obviously, to keep my Giratina in the back, just because this Lapras match takes so long that switch timer is very likely going to come up, and I could win by default in a lot of situations just from having the second Pokemon still alive. But in this particular situation, I had the shield advantage and the health advantage, so it was a pretty comfortable situation here at this point. And we are going to be able to take out this Lapras once this very long match ends here, just throwing surfs back and forth. At this point, I definitely have to shield here. And when I throw this next surf, the switch timer is actually going to come up. So surf will, I think this will actually KO the opposing Lapras. No, it doesn't, but timer comes up, and we're going to win with more health. So Gookie 0123 here in this next matchup, and he is leading a Swampert. And I believe this is the last matchup in my sets, or in my battles that I've picked here. So Articuno into Swampert, and the opponent is going to throw Hydro Cannon. As we saw in one of the earlier battles, you win the 0 shields, so there's really no point to commit any shields in this match. Just go straight for the 0. If they choose to start shielding, then you match them, of course. But here, pretty straightforward. Opponent's going to throw Hydro Cannons. They're doing less damage each time. So I'm going to get to this Icy Wind here. And this, I don't think this KOs the Swampert here, does it? Oh, he chose to shield, actually. Okay. So this actually doesn't KO, so I chose not to shield here, expecting to get to the next Hydro Cannon. The problem is he's going to get to another Hydro Cannon before I get to the Ice Wind, so I have to shield this time. And he's... Oh, is this a very aggressive farm? Wow, that was an extremely aggressive farm down there. Wow, the 1 shield. So we have energy now on the Articuno. That was pretty crazy. And we get to throw out that Melmetal here. And this is really good because winning switch there means that I get to trap the Giratina into this Lapras. And then we're going to have our own Giratina for the Melmetal in the back. And with the shield advantage, we should be pretty good here. And I think we could safely throw the Ice Beam here because they probably really do not want to shield this Giratina. And we're going to throw the Ice Beam. Yeah. And basically my hope here is, I like that he's throwing because I want this Lapras to be as low as possible. But I also hope that I get to a Surf, which I am able to get to. And this Surf is really going to assist in taking out this Melmetal. And I'm actually going to let the Melmetal take me out for Rock Slide just to throw some of its energy away. And then I'll bring in the Giratina here. And I have a slight health advantage. This is still a very close matchup though. So I'm going to throw the Shadow Sneak. Does he have a shield? No, he doesn't. Okay, so I thought he still had a shield. That would have made... This actually isn't as close because we have shield advantage, obviously. So I'm just going to shield this Rock Slide here. And at this point, pretty much Shadow Sneak and some Shadow Claws should be enough to take out this Melmetal. And we are going to take that battle. So I did go about 30 and 10, I believe, in the start of Ultra League. And that did help me here get to 2770 ELO and rank 9. So I did get a lot of comments in the last video saying that this team doesn't work, needs a harder steel type counter, and to an extent that is true. The team is very weak to steel, but obviously that is a part of the strategy in that I'm hoping to not run into too many steals, aside from Escavalier, which is very beatable with the team, so it's not too bad of a problem. But Melmetal, Registeel. Melmetal is pretty common, it's making a big comeback, but Registeel, not so much. So Giratina does the job in that situation. Obviously this team isn't going to work for everyone, and obviously I don't expect this team to work forever. I'm probably going to go on a pretty hard losing streak eventually, especially as more people become accustomed to seeing the team. And I just want to give a big shout out to everybody who's actually been running the team, because I have actually ran into a couple of you who have been using the same team, and it's actually quite flattering to lose to my own team that I run myself. So all of you who have beaten me with this team, shout out to you and big congrats. And I hope you guys enjoy it. I hope you guys enjoy the video. Let me know if you guys want to see more videos on this team, because I have a lot more battles from these same sets you guys might be interested in seeing. So let me know in the comments. If you guys enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like, commenting, subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for watching. I will see you guys in the next video. Take care.